The South China Sea is a vast and beautiful stretch of water, spanning over 3.5 million square kilometers. Its azure waves and tranquil beauty hide a complex and multifaceted significance that extends far beyond its natural allure. Beneath its surface, the South China Sea teems with marine life, hosting thousands of species of fish, corals, and other marine organisms. It is a vital habitat for biodiversity, and an essential source of livelihood for millions of people who depend on fishing. But the significance of the South China Sea extends beyond its ecological wealth. It holds vast reserves of oil and gas, making it a critical area for energy resources. These reserves are crucial for the energy security of many nations. Moreover, the South China Sea is one of the busiest shipping routes in the world. Every year, trillions of dollars worth of goods from cars to computers pass through its waters. This makes it an indispensable artery for global trade, connecting economies and facilitating international commerce. The strategic importance of this waterway cannot be overstated. It is a crucial passage for the transportation of goods, energy supplies, and raw materials, making it a lifeline for many countries' economies. However, this important sea is also a source of tension and conflict. The South China Sea is a geopolitical hotspot, with several countries laying claim to its waters and the resources beneath them. Countries including China, the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan have overlapping territorial claims, each asserting their rights over different parts of the sea. These claims are often based on historical, legal, and economic grounds. These overlapping claims have led to numerous disputes and standoffs, threatening the peace and stability of the region. The South China Sea remains a focal point of international diplomacy, with efforts ongoing to resolve these complex issues and ensure the security of this vital waterway. Recently, tensions in the South China Sea have escalated. This region, rich in resources and strategic importance, has long been a hotspot for territorial disputes. The South China Sea is a critical maritime route, with trillions of dollars worth of trade passing through its waters annually. The area is also believed to be rich in oil and natural gas reserves, making it a highly coveted region for the surrounding nations. China, in a move seen as provocative by many, deployed its largest Coast Guard vessel, the CCG 5901, near the Philippines. This vessel, one of the most formidable in the world, is equipped with advanced surveillance and defense systems. Its presence in the region is a clear signal of China's intent to assert its claims over the disputed waters. This massive ship, dubbed a monster ship by some, entered waters that the Philippines claims as its exclusive economic zone. The Philippines, a smaller nation in terms of military capability, views this as a direct challenge to its sovereignty and rights over its maritime resources. This zone, known as an EEZ, gives a country special rights to the resources within it, such as fishing and oil drilling. The concept of an EEZ is recognized under international law, specifically the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. However, China's expansive claims, marked by the so-called 9-dash line, overlap with the EEZs of several other countries, leading to frequent confrontations. The deployment of the CCG 5901 is just the latest in a series of actions by China that have raised concerns in the region. Over the past decade, China has steadily increased its military and Coast Guard presence in the South China Sea, often leading to standoffs with other claimant nations. These actions are part of a broader strategy to establish de facto control over the area. China has been building artificial islands in the South China Sea and equipping them with military facilities. These islands, constructed on previously submerged reefs, now host airstrips, radar installations, and missile systems. The militarization of these islands has been a point of contention, with many countries accusing China of destabilizing the region and violating international law. It has also been sending fishing fleets, often accompanied by Coast Guard vessels, into disputed waters. These fleets, sometimes referred to as China's maritime militia, play a dual role. They not only exploit the rich fishing grounds but also serve as a means to assert China's presence and claims in the region. The presence of these fleets often leads to clashes with local fishermen from other countries. These actions have been condemned by many countries as attempts to assert control over the South China Sea. International protests and diplomatic efforts have been ongoing, with nations calling for a peaceful resolution to the disputes. However, the situation remains tense, with the potential for conflict always looming. The South China Sea continues to be a flashpoint, reflecting the broader geopolitical struggle for power and influence in the region. The Philippines, a country of over 7,000 islands, has been particularly vocal in its opposition to China's actions. The Philippine government lodged a strong protest against the deployment of the CCG 5901, calling it an escalation and provocative. The Philippines has also accused China of violating international law and encroaching on its sovereignty. In response to China's assertiveness, the Philippines has stepped up its own naval presence in the South China Sea. It has deployed its own Coast Guard vessels and conducted joint patrols with other countries, including the United States. The Philippines has also strengthened its ties with other countries in the region, seeking to build a united front against China's maritime ambitions. China, for its part, has defended its actions in the South China Sea. It claims that its Coast Guard vessels are simply carrying out routine patrols within its own territory. China maintains that it has indisputable sovereignty over the South China Sea, based on historical claims dating back centuries. China has rejected the protests from the Philippines and other countries, accusing them of exaggerating the situation and trying to stir up trouble. China has also accused the United States of interfering in regional affairs and trying to contain China's rise. Section 5. A history of disputes. The current tensions in the South China Sea are not new. The region has been a flashpoint for decades, with overlapping claims and territorial disputes. In 2016, an international tribunal in The Hague ruled against China's expansive claims in the South China Sea. The tribunal found that China's 9-dash line, a demarcation line used by China to assert its claims, had no legal basis. However, China has refused to recognize the tribunal's ruling, calling it null and void. China has continued to assert its claims in the South China Sea, leading to ongoing tensions with its neighbors. Section 6. Why the South China Sea matters. The South China Sea is not just a regional issue, its strategic importance makes it a matter of global concern. As mentioned earlier, the South China Sea is a vital shipping route, carrying a significant portion of global trade. Any disruption to shipping in the South China Sea would have far-reaching economic consequences. Moreover, the South China Sea is home to important fishing grounds that provide food security for millions of people in the region. The presence of oil and gas reserves further adds to the economic significance of the South China Sea. Section 7. The world is watching. The rising tensions in the South China Sea have not gone unnoticed by the international community. This region, rich in resources and strategic importance, has become a focal point of global attention. The international community is closely monitoring the developments, as the actions taken here could have far-reaching implications for global trade and security. The United States, along with other countries, has expressed concern over China's assertive actions and called for a peaceful resolution to the disputes. The U.S. government has repeatedly emphasized the importance of maintaining freedom of navigation and overflight in the region, which is a vital artery for international trade. Other nations, including Japan, Australia, and members of the European Union, have also voiced their apprehensions and urged for diplomatic solutions. The U.S. Navy has conducted freedom of navigation operations in the South China Sea, challenging China's claims and asserting the right to free passage. These operations are intended to demonstrate the U.S. commitment to upholding international law and ensuring that the sea lanes remain open for all. The presence of U.S. naval forces in the region serves as a deterrent against potential aggressive actions and reassures allies of America's support. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, a regional bloc of 10 Southeast Asian countries, has also been working to address the South China Sea issue. ASEAN plays a crucial role in fostering dialogue and cooperation among its member states, and it has been actively seeking ways to manage the disputes through diplomatic channels. The unity and collective stance of ASEAN are essential in counterbalancing the influence of major powers in the region. ASEAN and China have been negotiating a code of conduct for the South China Sea, aimed at preventing incidents and managing disputes. This code of conduct is seen as a critical step towards establishing a framework for peaceful coexistence and conflict resolution. The negotiations have been ongoing for years, reflecting the complexity and sensitivity of the issues at hand. However, progress has been slow. The differing interests and strategic priorities of the involved parties have made it challenging to reach a consensus. Despite the slow pace, the continued efforts in diplomacy and dialogue are crucial. The world is watching closely, hoping for a resolution that ensures stability and peace in this vital region. Section 8. Uncertain waters ahead. The situation in the South China Sea remains tense and unpredictable. China shows no signs of backing down from its claims, while the Philippines and other countries are determined to protect their own interests. The risk of miscalculation and escalation remains high, raising concerns about the potential for conflict. The deployment of China's monster ship is a stark reminder of the challenges facing the region. It underscores the need for a peaceful and sustainable solution to the South China Sea disputes. Section 9. The need for dialogue. The only way forward in the South China Sea is through dialogue and diplomacy. All parties involved need to engage in good faith negotiations to find a peaceful resolution to the disputes. China needs to respect international law and the rights of its neighbors, while other countries need to recognize China's legitimate interests in the region. The international community has a role to play in facilitating dialogue and promoting a rules-based order in the South China Sea. It is in everyone's interest to ensure that the South China Sea remains a sea of peace, stability, and prosperity.